let's get on to the next one, fam, because where's my money?
So speaking of corrupt, fascistic idiots.
Yes.
I mean, this guy, we have segregationist Joe and Kamala in power, just in case you guys forgot. And by the way, did everyone forget that they were planning all these things, all this insurrection coming up in DC, and none of that happened? They wasted all this money. Okay, and they did all this.
Chris Small said that. He was like, how much did you pay on this thing? You better give us our checks.
Yeah. So here's Joe Biden. He said on January 10th, he said $600 is simply not enough when you have to choose between paying rent or putting food on the table. We need a $2,000 stimulus check. And all these progressives were like, yeah, Joe, great job.
He's repeating after Trump.
And now let's take a look at what's going on, because people are pissed. Okay, they feel betrayed. So betrayal, Georgia voters enraged after Democrats' promise of 2,000 checks becomes 1,400 under Biden's stimulus plan. The 1,400 was under Trump. Okay, but President-elect Joe Biden released his long-awaited stimulus proposal last Thursday that contained an inauspicious provision for millions of Americans expecting an additional 2,000 stimulus check instead of that long-promised amount. Biden's proposal only calls for an additional 1,400 stimulus payment. Georgia voters who recently delivered the Democratic Party control of the U.S. Senate, I don't know about that, by electing Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, say they feel betrayed, let down, and outraged at what NBC Peacock host Mehdi Hassan has termed, quote, Biden's first broken campaign promise.
Good job, Mehdi.
Good job, Mehdi.
Good job.
And yeah, so they're pissed, understandably so, because and if you want to defend this, right? Well, do the math. He met 600 plus
it was a
1,400. That was number one. That was Trump. That was Trump's stimulus. It's 2021, and if you go look at nearly every major country, even third world countries by our standards, they're getting like 50 to like 90% of their wages paid by month, by the time, like, if they're not working. People aren't getting that. They're just asking for, like, they're getting maybe $250, $300 a week. Nobody can survive on that. And if that, not everybody qualifies, because guess what? We live in a gig economy in America. So let's say you drive for Uber. You don't get 15 an hour. You don't get 10 an hour, 12. You get shit. I think in California it might be like 10 or 9. You get really crap. You get crap. And you don't get a minimum wage. Let's say you were a server. You would in most states you get like $5 an hour plus tips, right? So let's say you're not working and you're getting unemployment. The unemployment you get might be the equivalent to what you would make in 1 day or 2 days. Yeah. It's not enough.
In Florida, it's capped at 300. In California, it's capped at 450.
It's disgusting what's happening, you guys, and nobody's getting anything, right? So that's Biden's one of Biden's broken promises, but there's more, because I've seen too many neo-progressives, fam, be cheering for how Joe Biden on his first day, it was amazing, all these things he's passing.
It's a breath of fresh air for this cabinet pick.
Oh yes,
it's a breath of. I think we can all agree it's a breath of fresh air. Even in the pundits on CNN, which right now where they're trying to do like what we're doing here, they're trying to have like the podcast set up and whatnot and the cool stuff in the background, because they ain't got no young people watching it. I wonder why. Because the politics and the policies that are involved in our government and our mainstream media are all for just older people who could take care of themselves, who've been around. Nothing for the young people. They're not ever talking about cryptocurrencies and how they're trying to shoot this shit down, because mostly young people are involved in that. They're not talking about the fact that you won't get nothing down the road because it's the young people. But their whole kind of mentality of now, it's a breath of fresh air, fam. Now that we have a president it's a new day that we can find out within the press conference or the or talk to their staff. We don't just find out from their tweets. So now, you know what I'm saying? So now begins the process. It's like, oh no, now you switched up from a guy you went after to destroy 24/7 to now a guy you got to prop up 24/7. So it's like you went to the other side of the coin, and it's disgusting, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, Corona doesn't even matter now.
Oh, yeah, Corona's going to... Biden says... Oh, I'll let you do that. Come on, let's go. Go ahead.
Okay, so Bloomberg government, right?
Look at this.
Okay, Biden's HHS freezes Trump insulin epinephrine rule until March. So the rule was published in late December, Part of a large-scale regulatory freeze by the new administration, the HHS Thursday froze the former Trump administration's December drug policy that requires community health centers to pass on all their insulin and epinephrine discount savings to patients. Centers that won't pass on the savings wouldn't qualify for federal grants. The rule, which was finalized in late December, is delayed till March 22nd. The Department of Health and Human Services said it in a Federal Register post. This freeze is part of the Biden administration's large-scale effort announced this week that will scrutinize the Trump administration's health policies. If the previous administration's policies raise, quote, fact, law, or policy concerns, the Biden HHS will delay them and consult with the Office of Management and Budget about other actions. Former HHS leaders argued the drug would benefit patients who struggle to pay for expensive insulin and allergy medication. However, the health centers say that they already pass on those savings, and this was merely an administrative burden that paints them as entities that price gouge patients. So again, they're using the excuse that because it was Trump, now they have to scrutinize everything to make sure it's up to their standards, even though this would be helping people get access to their fucking insulin. Yeah, because it would be a discount, but insulin's fucking expensive. I don't know if you've seen the last few videos of people saying, I can't afford to buy insulin for my kid. Yeah. I can't afford. I mean, it's heartbreaking, right? And they're not talking about this. Do you see CNN talking about this? No. And if they do, they're going to say, Trump's policies were disastrous and just confusing and actually hurt us somehow, even though they won't specify how. Yeah. Because they have to be partisan, because that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to be hacks. And this, of course, is just showing you that it's all about symbolics to these people. It's not about actually helping you. It's about symbolics.
I mean, that's taking away discounts from people who need this whatnot. I mean, right now, if it's something that's good, no matter if Satan put it in place, if it's good for the people, let it stand. And I think this was part of my cheerleading speech at the Forced to Vote thing when I talked about all the families who have to make a decision whether to give their kids insulin or put food on the table. Are we going to leave them behind? I mean, I said that because this is an issue that we've talked about before, and we've seen this before. Like, we've seen people die in this country because they can't afford insulin. Not having it. No friggin' way. Call this shit out. That is bullshit. What the Biden administration is doing, it's right on par because, Big Pharma's in his pocket too as well. Yeah. So, I mean, please.
Yeah. Don't be surprised. Like, there's no pushing these people because they're owned by corporations and private business. Okay, so somebody on my Facebook, because they're, don't go on Facebook. God, it's full of neoliberals and neoprogressives. Like, seriously. Yeah. It was awful. The day Instagram was especially awful for me with all of my friends dancing. And all the like, oh, Kyle, it's a new day, it's a breath of fresh air, all this bullshit that they were saying. And one of my friends was like, I want to post your stuff, but I'm afraid people are gonna attack me. I'm like, I know, like, this is insane. So this person said, for the leftists that claimed Biden is just as bad as Trump, I'd like to tell you what Biden has done in the 5 hours he's been president. He has gotten the U.S. back into the Paris Climate Accord. He has overturned the Muslim ban. He's ordering an official COVID federal response, because believe it or not, there wasn't one. Restored global health security and biodefense. Will end Trump's efforts to leave the World Health Organization. Okay. Passing an executive action to immediately try to reunite families separated at the border. Biden was my first or even second choice, but he's nowhere near as terrifying as Trump. Not only is he already making a difference, but he doesn't have a cult following, and we will hold him accountable throughout his presidency instead of blindly following his every word.
Put that up.
Okay, so this person put that up, and I had a response, and my response isn't even, if I had more time, I will write an essay on this, because I guess I'm going to have to, because people are throwing the stupid shit at me, and I just don't have the patience for it. The Paris Climate Accord is symbolic, you guys. The Paris Climate Accord does not ban fracking. The Paris Climate Accord does absolutely none of that. It is mainly a symbolic thing. You could literally put, I'd rather not have the Paris Climate Accord and actually take actions against what's actually happening than do that. So when you're latching onto the Paris Climate Accord, why are you so obsessed with it? Do you even know what it is? And do you even realize how symbolic it is? I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm just saying it's used as to like anchor people back in. The Muslim ban, again, it's symbolic, because we're still sanctioning, droning, and likely to wage war, not just with Iran, but with Iraq. We see what Syria, how Israel attacks Syria, and we're going to be talking about that. We see what's happening in Yemen. If we really cared about Muslim people and brown people, we wouldn't be fucking bombing them, droning them, and letting our vicious allies Saudi Arabia, and Israel pretty much exterminate certain groups of people. So the Muslim ban is symbolic. Again, why is Joe Biden amping up what he's going to do in the Middle East now? He's bringing more troops in the Middle East. That's what he's going to do. So don't bring me the whole Muslim and symbolic. Again, they focus on symbolic.
He's already talking about reversing the decision in Iraq that Trump was going to bring some people home.
We're going
to. You're going to get to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
My bad.
So the COVID federal response does nothing if no healthcare or aid to people and small businesses happen, right? What is the COVID federal response? Because what the federal response has been absolutely disastrous. What's the response? Oh, you go to the doctor.
Wear a mask.
Here's some ibuprofen. And just that's it. You don't get ivermectin. You don't get anything that will actually help you. No. Oh, if you're dying, if you can't breathe, you'll be fine. If it's
Can I get a test?
Not almost dying. No, you don't have health care.
Oh,
so
no test.
What
wait in line
response?
at Dodger Stadium.
We're shutting down small businesses. We're not giving them a stimulus. You get what? You get maybe $1,400 plus $600. Okay, you get maybe $2,000, maybe $3,200 in a whole year.
That's ridiculous.
To survive? Are you fucking kidding me? That's the federal response?
I like number 4.
And then biodefense and all this bullshit. What the hell is that? What does that even mean? Do you even know what that means? Who told you this? Chris Cuomo, CNN, MSNBC?
Biodefense. Johnny, wait. Hey, Johnny, what's biodefense? Help us out. Try to make something up that sounds good.
Did you guys ever see that cartoon? It was like osmosis in a pill? I don't know.
Yeah, Johnny Neutron?
No, something like that.
Basically, none of this
biodefense.
shit. Like defending ourselves against biological attacks. Dude, we have a fucking pandemic. Nobody has single payer in this country. We can't even get the squad to force a vote, to rescind their vote from Nancy Pelosi because they have to make sure that they're good with her. We can't even get our own progressives to do that. And we can't. And now he's taking away the fucking discount for insulin. Are you fucking kidding me?
Bam.
I'd rather have Osmosis Jones in power.
Here's some biodefense Osmosis Jones.
I'd rather have
Chris Rock,
Osmosis
I think,
Jones.
Yeah, it was Chris Rock.
Chris Rock. Guys, read Fam, what the fuck is that? Biodefense. These
Osmosis Jones
no
for president 2024.
No limits in their
Okay.
BS. Sorry, go ahead.
Number 5, the WHO, right? Because people love throwing out the World Health Organization. I haven't done extensive investigation, but for the little I've done, the WHO is corrupted. And it's basically just a name of an organization. Bill Gates is heavily involved in that. It is very similar to an NGO, the way it's operating now. It hasn't done much of anything. Again, even if it were a good thing to have it, let's say, symbolic. What actions are we talking about here? What tangibility are you showing me? You're literally regurgitating symbolism. Okay, 6. Biden is part of the administration that deported more than any other POTUS, okay? So you're talking about reuniting families. That was already going to happen. Niko talked about it. He did a whole fucking video on it. You guys can watch it. That was already going to happen. And also, Biden is part of the administration that led to these issues. That under Hillary Clinton's Secretary of State, she literally destroyed Central America, not to mention, of course, Libya in the Middle East. And now, okay, thank you, Biden, for starting to make a dent on the problems that you and your cohorts helped create. If that, because like I said, that didn't even happen. And then on top of that, be aware that we are going to be cooing more countries, because that's what Democrats do. They coup neocons, both, and neoliberals. They coup several countries, and they have their eyes on Bolivia. They've had their eyes on Mexico. They have their eyes on multiple countries in Latin America and Central America in general. Yeah. But this is like, so on one end, Biden, and I didn't even put it here, he's going to stop the Keystone Pipeline, right? But at the same time, he's already planning on how to coup more and more people and how to intervene in the Middle East.
You know, it's so funny, too, because he did nothing with Standing Rock. Didn't say a goddamn word. Took fracking money right out of the gates. And then he always said, I'm not going to ban fracking. What are you talking about that? I mean, this is after the primaries. I'm not going to ban fracking. And guess what? The number one cause for a country to have mass migration. It's called regime change by way of civil war in a lot of these countries where people kill themselves and kill each other, just like the Obama administration was responsible for Honduras, the policy in Venezuela, the coup in Ukraine, the coup in Syria, the coup in Libya. This is all Obama-Biden administration. And you're talking about what happened in Libya and Syria has caused so many migrants to leave those regions and go into other parts of Europe, like flood Europe's like crazy. Gaddafi talked about it. He goes, you try to eliminate certain these factors, you're going to have migration like crazy. And we see about the migration problem into Europe and situations in all parts of Northern Africa. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. And it's all from regime change started by who? Us, with our allies.
Exactly. And just the last thing I just said was, because the guy said you can hold him accountable. And I said, you can't hold him accountable because you have no power. And the squad doesn't challenge Democrats. You hold him accountable before he's elected, not after. Anything else, enough is symbolic BS. So if anybody comes at you with this fucking bullshit symbolism that, oh, Biden already did this, when you actually do the research and you get down to what he's actually doing, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
So
why do they say this all the time? Oh, we're going to hold them accountable. And it's like, you didn't hold them accountable. They got their way. You know, they did what they had to do. It's not like you holding them accountable is more than just putting them in the corner for a little bit and letting them come out and have their way. It's making them change the way that you were trying to hold them accountable for. We caught it. We held them accountable, and they made the right decision. No, we held them accountable by saying bad. Now what are we doing next? And they go on with their same policies and their same ideology, and nothing changes. That's not holding anybody accountable. You, like you said, Fiorella said it best. You do it before you vote for them, never after. Never after.
You call me
Fiorella?
Okay, so shifting onto our serious gears, to expand on what Biden and the Biden administration are going to likely do, a twin suicide bombing occurred in Baghdad's Tahrir Square. It was packed with people shopping, left 24 dead on Thursday afternoon in the most deadly attack in more than 18 months. And it is not known if this was an ISIS attack. It has its hallmarks. The bombing was 4 kilometers away from the U.S. Embassy compound and occurred in an area which has witnessed several mass protests over the last year and a half. In the fall of 2019, protesters often besieged security forces at Al Jumhuriya Bridge, not far from the market where the bombings took place. And they said the online video appeared to capture the second of 2 reported explosions in which up to 100 were reported wounded near the Bab al-Shariki area of central Baghdad. There have been increasing threats of low-level attacks on convoys that supply the U.S. in Iraq. Last year, dozens of attacks with 107mm rockets were fired at the U.S. Embassy compound and at U.S. forces in Iraq. The U.S. has drawn down most of its troops, leaving only several thousand personnel, many of whom have been relocated to the autonomous Kurdistan region, which is more sympathetic to the United States. But in other areas of Iraq, the pro-Iranian militias of the Popular Mobilization Units run checkpoints and have threatened the U.S. These groups include Badr Organization, Khatib Hezbollah, As-Salib al-Haq, and Harat Hezbollah al-Nujaba. The day before the attack in Baghdad, there were reports of an attack on a convoy carrying equipment to the U.S.-led anti-ISIS coalition. This is a very interesting coalition. We already know what that means. And yeah, basically, you know, this is an area which is frequently attacked, basically, right? This is an area where it's frequently attacked. Now, this is going to obviously provide Joe Biden with an opportunity to show U.S. support for Iraq. And Biden has said that the U.S. is back and the world can expect the U.S. to care again about foreign policy. And work multilaterally to solve problems. Iraq, of course, is a complex problem. The pro-Iranian groups want the U.S. to leave. Groups like Ashab Kaf and others linked to Iran are threatening people who work as interpreters. For instance, according to a tweet by BBC's Nafish Kafar.
Everybody wants us to leave.
No, we should get the hell out.
Yeah. And
what's likely to happen is that Joe Biden is going to amp up our presence there. He's already doing it, is what the reports are coming from the White House. He's already doing it, and he's going to do that and say it like, oh, we stand with Iraq. We stand with Iraq. Yeah. No, you don't stand with them. You stand against them, and you stand to profit off of manipulating, cooing, and spreading this pro-democracy idea through sanctions, through drones, through bombs, through more military interventionism. This is where your U.S. tax dollars are going.
We can look for any type of possible false flag, a U.S. convoy get bombed or something, giving him a reason to get back in there as much as we can and amp it up. You know what I'm saying? The military-industrial complex makes a ton of money off perpetual war. This is what's going on in Syria, fam.
Yeah, so an Israeli warplane struck Syria, killing 4, including children. And this happened again. Remember, this also happened on January 6th when we were so busy with the Capitol riots. It also happened then. So this happened again. And this was central Syria. It killed a family of 4, wounding others. And state news agency SANA quoted an unarmed military official as saying the attack took place shortly before dawn when Israeli warplanes flew over neighboring Lebanon. Israel has launched hundreds of strikes against Iran-linked military targets in Syria over the years. So again, now you have Iran linked to Iraq, you have Iran linked to Syria, and so the U.S. is going to use this as an excuse to save the people when that's not what they're doing. The Syrian military official said the attack was aimed at several targets and near the central province of Hama. It added that Syrian air defense units shot down most of the missiles. The official said the strike killed a family of 4, a married couple and their 2 children. The strike also wounded others, more children. And the family that was killed had been displaced by Syria's nearly 10-year conflict. Gee, and who is at fault for helping push this 10-year conflict, Pasta?
Joe Biden? Sorry. Am I blaming the wrong person? Barack Obama, Joe Biden?
Well, Barack Obama
I mean, the
and Hillary Clinton and the neocons,
the neoliberals that are neocons. I mean, it's the war
Yeah.
machine over and over again, the establishment. It's just, we talked about how this thing started, you know what I'm saying? And Anthony Blinken, who's now back in Joe Biden's cabinet, said that he was mad at Joe Biden for not being enthused enough to getting into Syria when it first started. Really, I mean, this is the type of people we're bringing back into power.
And I just want to say that the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, an opposition monitor that tracks Syria's war, said it recorded 39 Israeli strikes against Syria in 2020 that hit 135 targets, including military warehouses or vehicles. Israel views Iranian entrenchment on its northern frontier as a red line and has repeatedly struck Iran-linked facilities and weapons convoys destined for Lebanon's militant Hezbollah group. And
that's what they say, but they're really trying to destabilize the region so much so they can control a lot of the pipelines that go through there. They do it for their own political and economical reasons. And this was sick. As soon as Bibi Netanyahu congratulated Joe Biden, the next thing he did was go ahead and bomb them. Because he knew he had the red light. He had the green light. He had the green light to do whatever he wants to do because, Donald Trump, who a lot of people will say was one of the best presidents as far as being fair and close to Israel, it's equally as fair when it comes to Joe Biden and the other neocons. Joe Biden has said he's a Zionist.
Yep.
So therefore he's going to let Israel do what they want to do. Since 2021, I mean, since this year started, they've already bombed, I think 3 times or something, including Damascus they bombed. So crazy.
Did you put this in there?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Syria and Biden crosshairs? Did you put that in there,
No.
UK?
I don't think
Johnny?
I meant to. But I just wanted to mention really quick Vanessa Bailey because she is in Syria. She's living there.
Yeah.
And you guys should check out her article. It's talking about Israeli war crimes in Syria, the Biden strategy. The deluded, quote, left have unleashed hell upon the Syrian people by celebrating the election of #Biden, a Clinton-era war psychopath. There is no difference between parties. The predator class is in charge. Thank you, Vanessa Bailey, for highlighting that.
That's a Patreon too.
And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but she talks about how the attacks that Syrians have experienced and how the entire family was murdered. She's going to update this as new information comes in. She said I wanted to read this part. I've been talking about the Biden administration for some time now in relation to Syria, and I have predicted that the aggression against Syria will now be escalated. Since the new year, we have seen an increase in U.S.-backed, trained, and equipped terrorist attacks on Syrian Arab army and civilian convoys, including fuel convoys. This is a deliberate strategy to push the Syrian people further into food insecurity and deprivation with the coldest winter months now here. I will update as I get new information. The deluded left are celebrating Trump's departure, but with little appreciation of the hell they've now unleashed upon this country. The old adage of, quote, be careful what you wish for comes to mind. The Syrian people do not thank America for believing in the mirage of democracy and two-party politics. I hope with all my heart they wake up to the psychopathic, sadistic predator class that truly rules them before it's too late. For all of us, but most for all, most of all for the Syrian people who have already endured so much. And she is in Syria. So, and I've interviewed her before on Syria. She was the one that one of the journalists, along with Eva Bartlett, who exposed Syrian chemical attacks, who is being attacked, of course, by BBC state propaganda. Vanessa Bailey is from the UK. And they're basically BBC via Channel 4 is trying to paint them as complete conspiracy theorists. Oh my God, surprise! That they don't know what they're talking about, that, you know, they're just spreading misinformation. And they're the real journalists, Vanessa Bailey. So thank you for her work. And I will be in contact with her soon because I do definitely want to get her opinion on what's happening.
And also the guy we've been talking about, Mr. Anthony Blinken, who's now the Secretary of State for Biden. Says that Biden's Secretary of State praises Trump's achievement on Israel, and it says right underneath, the Biden administration may be looking to overturn many of the Trump administration policies, including making sure that your insulin is not cheap, but not when it comes to Israel.
Exactly.
The bombing is okay. When the shooting starts, the looting starts. What does he say? The worst thing that Trump ever said? Who cares when they have the same freaking mentality from the other side? They don't care. They're war, death, predator class that Mrs. Beasley, Vanessa says, please wake up to. Wake up to who's really ruling you. It's not Democrat versus Republican over here. It's the military-industrial complex. It's the elites. It's this predator class, and they don't care. He's happy. Look at that smile on his face.
So Blinken praised Trump for normalizing relations between Israel and the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan as an opening pathway to Palestinian peace. Yes, embracing the attackers on Palestinians is really going to open the pathway to peace. You fucking dumbass.
That's
and
the
he
shit
said,
they tell people, and then people buy that shit. That's such a false fucking statement over there. I mean, that was controversy because now, like, Bahrain and all these other countries didn't recognize, and the UAE didn't recognize the Palestinians' plight. Exactly. They turned a blind eye to it. So how is that helping out the situation?
See, you see, they're not consistent, you guys. So he said, I think there are a number of things from where I sat that the Trump administration did beyond our borders that I would applaud. The Abraham Accords, absolutely. The work that was done to push forward on normalization with Israel, I applaud. It makes Israel safer. It makes the region safer. It's a good thing. I would hope we can build on that. So there you go, guys. That's, wait. Do you still consider Iran the largest state sponsor of terrorism? Blinken says, I do. Do you consider Israel a racist nation? Blinken, I do not. Graham, good start. The two men were responding indirectly to Rep. Rashida Tlaib, who said that on the morning on Democracy Now! That Israel is an apartheid state and a racist state because it had refused to give coronavirus vaccine to occupied Palestinians, even as it inoculated the largely Jewish population in Israel. I don't know that Palestinians might be on the winning end on that end. I don't know about the vaccine, but I understand what she's saying. Yes, I 100% agree with Rashida there. I believe it is an apartheid state, if not worse than that. And there is nobody right now in government that's really understanding of what's going on in that problem. And I know that, you know, people have their opinions on it, a two-state solution, a one-state solution, whatever the case may be. But what is happening cannot be denied. What is happening to the Palestinian people, what is happening to the Yemeni people, which we'll go into next, none of this stuff can be denied. And Israel and Saudi Arabia and our allies are responsible for it as well.
I think that the most disgusting thing is that people who feel like you ideology-wise, right, okay, they still deny this kind of behavior by the government. In other words, they act like they're better, you know, for the Palestinian people than Donald Trump was when they're the same.
No, yeah,
they're the exact same. And that's the part that I find truly disgusting is like, hey, whatever you believe in, at least own what your government is in there is saying right now. You know what I'm saying? So if you believe as Rashida Tlaib, then call out the Biden administration for what they are. If you believe that it's Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham and Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden, call it out for what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Don't say it's something different.
Because because one's a Democrat and one's a Republican.
Exactly. I'll get that for you.
And I just wanted to read what this person said. Shawarma Kami. Palestine is not celebrating today. Venezuela is not celebrating today. Iran is not celebrating today. Syria is not celebrating today. Iraq is not celebrating today. Cuba is not celebrating today. Bolivia is not celebrating today. Yemen is not celebrating today. Chile is not celebrating today. Afghanistan is not celebrating today. Honduras is not celebrating today. I'm not letting liberals enjoy this. There's nothing to enjoy, only the continuation of capitalist terror and hegemony. Also, a preemptive response to liberals finding this. I'm Syrian. Ask me about the Obama years. Here you go.
You know, and once again, like if anything, whatever you believe in, Does it make a difference in socialism, capitalism, whatever, and stuff like that? Wouldn't we be better off served by keeping our troops and everybody out of these regions? Why can't you just have a libertarian mindset? Like, let's just do a hands-off approach for once. We're always in there putting our nose into business and stuff. Let's just pull out. Let's get the hell out of here. Why do we have to spend so much money, so much time destroying other people's lands for our corporate needs? Because that's what it's all about. It's about resource extraction. You can try to deny it up and down. It's about resource extraction. Just get the hell out. Just get the friggin' hell out. Keep your ideology bullshit aside. Well, we got to go fight them over there so they don't fight us over here. And we got to go fight socialism and communism so it doesn't end up on our doorstep one day. Just shut the hell up. It's about resource extraction, about corporations, about selling military hardware, where our money goes, the majority of our budget. Just stop. Pull the frig out and let these people be. And just get the hell back over here. Let's start taking care of ourselves over here for once.
Yeah,
and if that makes me a nationalist because I want to pull back, then so be it, whatever. You know, I hate this globalist mentality that we got to put bases all around the world and stuff like that. And they have a problem and we got to take care of it.
Globalism isn't collectivism. Don't mistake their capitalist globalism for collectivism because that's not what it is. Caitlin Johnstone said, Control F Yemen. There is nothing on Yemen from Biden. And the News with Shepard Smith said President Biden plans to sign more than a dozen executive orders to address challenges like the pandemic and student debt crisis, which they didn't do loan forgiveness. They only just extended the stop on the interest for a few months and repayments.
Hey,
here's the full list, blah, blah, blah. And she said Biden chose not to do this on day one. He could have, but he did not. One thing Biden can do starting on day one is end U.S. involvement in the Yemen war, involvement that he helped initiate. Quote, by executive order, Biden could get the Pentagon to end intelligence sharing for the Saudi coalition airstrikes, end logistical support, and end spare parts transfers that keep Saudi warplanes in the air. And this is from Hassan El Taib, lead Middle East policy lobbyist for the Friends Committee on National Legislation and Progressive Organization. They told this in these times, he could restore humanitarian assistance to northern Yemen. He could use his power as president to put pressure on other nations that are supporting the Saudi coalition, like France, the United Kingdom, and Canada. Get them to follow suit. He could have the State Department put a stop on all arms sales to Saudi Arabia unless they meet certain benchmarks. But he didn't, and he's not going to because he profits off the war machine. Exactly. And what is going on in fucking Yemen, it is the biggest human rights atrocious violation ever. I mean, the things, and there's a picture right there that Johnny, if you can show it, and I want to have on other people to talk more about this, but this shit is disgusting, you guys. Like this is like what we do to these people in the Middle East, and all these people, all these neoliberals clutching their pearls. It's a new day. It's great. It's not a new day for these people. It's the same shit, different warmonger. Same shit, different fucking warmonger. That's what it is to these people. We don't give a shit because it's not in your peripheral. It's not right in front of you. You can say that, you help support minorities. No, you don't. Joe Biden is one of the biggest segregationists. He's one of the biggest warmongers. And who gets bombed? All these people, all these brown people abroad. You don't care because they're not Americans. And that's a shame. That's a shame because not only does it ruin them, it ruins us too.
Yeah. And this is one of the biggest things. I want out of these areas. I want these people to be whatnot. I want to stop supporting these wars. And, this is something that Donald Trump was awful on. When people go, I'm saying he didn't start any new wars. Yeah, he funded Saudi Arabia to the T on this. Now, I don't care if he started or not. He kept it going. And he was really close with the Saudis. And this continued to go on and on and on. And the Houthis, Joe Biden has never said anything positive about them. Here you go. I don't want to.
So just Biden urged to reverse Pompeo-Trump move on the Houthis.
Bullshit. He didn't say anything back in the days. He won't say anything now.
He's urged, but he's not going to do it. Republican and Democratic lawmakers, experts, and aid groups are warning of mass starvation in the country already. The location of major humanitarian crisis if the decision is not reversed. And of course, the designation took effect Tuesday, but those calling for a reversal say Biden could avert a mass crisis with immediate action. This is more of like Biden should do this. The Houthis in Yemen has been suffering, this a humanitarian crisis. So here's the thing. This is what they say. The Houthi terrorist designation will effectively destroy the structure in the place that allows the importation of necessary items for civilians. Critics say commercial importers are fleeing businesses in the country over the fear of running afoul of U.S. sanctions. United Nations officials have warned. While Secretary of State Pompeo has said that the State Department is carving out humanitarian channels and developing licenses to exempt import from sanctions, critics on the ground say they have seen little to no concrete language that such policies are in place and are effective. This is coming at the absolute most difficult time when over 16 million Yemeni women, children, and men are living in severe and worsening food insecurity, said Michelle Nunn, CEO of CARE USA. This particular designation is tantamount to a cease and desist order for the humanitarian response in northern Yemen, and its impacts will lead to more despair and lives lost across the whole of the country. So Biden has yet to comment on the Houthi terrorist designation, and his incoming National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said he supported reversing this decision, tweeting agreement with the Republican Senator Todd Young, who earlier criticized the policy move. So yeah, they're painting the Houthis as terrorists because they know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to blame somebody else for what is really truly the fault of ourselves and our allies. Like I said, Trump could issue an executive order to end this, and he's not. Biden could issue an executive order to end this, and he's not doing it, and he's not going to do it because we supply Saudi Arabia with weapons. If we cared about actually ending humanitarian crisis and spreading democracy, we would have ended Yemen a long time ago. But we don't give a shit. That's why we don't end Palestine, because it's not monetarily beneficial, it's not resource extraction beneficial, and that's the truth.
Will you shut up, man? Will you shut up, man? Man, that's a bunch of malarkey.